Hi guys, it's Kaz and today I'm here with a wonderfully big July book haul. Now there were a couple of exciting events and things that I did this month that led me to buying quite a few of these books, which is really exciting. Yeah, I've got about 14 books to talk about today, so I'm going to jump straight in. First of all was the Sydney meetup that I went to at the very beginning of the month. We started off at Kinokuniya, then continued on to Dymocks, and finally the Galaxy bookshop. And I bought quite a few books. In Kinokuniya, I picked up Air of Fire by Sarah J Maas, the third book in the Throne of Glass series. I'm currently in the middle of Crown of Midnight, so I decided to pick up the third book so I can continue on with the series as soon as I finish that one. I also picked up volumes 4, 5 and 6 of Full Metal Alchemist, this bind up edition. I bought the bind up of volumes 1, 2 and 3 in June, I believe, and thought I might just go ahead and continue buying the other ones so that I don't have to wait in between finishing them all. I can just kind of marathon them. Then moving on to Dymocks, I picked up The Darkest Part of the Forest by Holly Black. I haven't read too much of Holly Black's work. I think I've only really read The Iron Trial, which she co-authored with Cassandra Clare, and I really enjoyed that one, so I decided to pick one of her other books up, and I've heard quite good things about this one. I want to go into this one not really knowing much about the story or what the synopsis is, but what I do know is that this is about fairies, so I'm excited to see what this one holds. And I also picked up The Bone Season by Samantha Shannon. I've been wanting to pick this book up for a really long time, and then it was on sale for $10. This edition is usually $25. I know, ridiculous for a paperback book, but it's a big chunky book. So the main character Paige, she is a dream walker, a clairvoyant, and I think in this world that is not okay. I believe she's also working in the underworld, but apart from that I'm not too sure what this story holds, but again, heard fantastic things about this one. Cannot wait. And in Galaxy Bookshop, I picked up one more book that day, and that is Captive Prince by C.S. Pacat. Now, Alison from Read Around the Rosie pretty much chucked this in my hand and said, you have to buy it, you have to read it. Amazing. So from what I can tell, this one is about Daemon, who is a prince and an heir to the throne, but when his half-brother seizes power, he is shipped off to an enemy kingdom and is a pleasure slave. This sounds like it could be quite intense, but very intriguing, and I'm just so curious to see what this one is about, so I'm really hoping that I can pick this one up very soon. So that was all that I bought when I was out at the Sydney meetup, but that day was also one of Bloomsbury's sales. They had a selection of their books on their website on sale for quite cheap, so I went onto there and bought a couple of books. The first one was The Mime Order by Samantha Shannon, the sequel to The Bone Season. Obviously this is a sequel, so I'm not going to go into what this one is about because I will be spoiling myself as well if I do that. And I also ordered The Sleeper and the Spindle by Neil Gaiman and illustrated by Chris Riddell. An absolutely stunning book with wonderfully creepy illustrations as well. I saw this at one of the bookstores at the meetup, but because Bloomsbury was doing a sale, I decided to hold off and actually order it online for cheaper. This one sounds very fairy tale-esque, but with a more dark and twisted side to it. I think there is a queen who's meant to be married, some dwarves, a princess who is in a deep slumber, and no prince coming to rescue her, or something along those lines, from what I can gather. But this looks like a wonderful, wonderful and beautiful book, and this one should be quite a quick read as well, so I think I might be picking this one up really soon. Later on in the month, I went back to the city for an author event. Lynette Noni was going to be at Dymocks talking about her book and a bit about fantasy writing and things like that, so I was going to that event, and I also met up with Paris from By the Angels on Instagram. I've met her several times at meetups, and she was also on the panel with me at Supernova this year, so it was great to see her again. But anyway, okay, the books that I got. The first one is Akane by Lynette Noni. This was obviously the author that was doing the event at Dymocks, and I did already own a copy of this book, but I decided to pick up an extra one, which I had signed, and I'm going to be giving this one away to one of my viewers when I do end up reviewing this book. And then I had a lovely chat to Lynette's publicist from Pantera Press, and she was recommending some of their books, and she showed me this one called Killing Adonis by J.M. Donnellan. She just completely sold me on this one. It sounds very, very interesting, and this cover is absolutely stunning. This one's also signed as well, so extra bonus. So this is about Freya, who sees this flyer for a job posting. It says light duties, large pay, no questions asked or answered, and basically she takes the job and finds out that she's taking care of this family's comatose son. But I think what's most interesting is the family obviously has a lot of secrets. The mansion seems to be just a massive labyrinth, and according to the synopsis, Marilyn Monroe keeps on showing up and she's unaware that she's dead, so maybe ghosts. or some sort. That sounds very, very cool. My synopsis was not nearly as fascinating as how it was described to me, so when I do end up reading this one, I will let you guys know what I think of it, and I'm so excited to read this one. I'm hooked. I want to read it right now. I also picked up The Rhythmatist by Brandon Sanderson. This is one of his young adult fantasy books, I believe. I've read Warbreaker by him, absolutely loved it, and I've just been eyeing off this book. I also love the cover, it is so beautiful. So I think that the magic system in this world is called Rhythmatics, and I believe that it involves drawing things, like different symbols or shapes have different magical properties or something, and I think you can also create chalk beings that kind of come to life, which sounds really cool. I'm so looking forward to getting to this one. And then we also took another visit to Kinokuniya and I bought a couple more books there. The first one was the Selection Stories by Kira Cass. These are the two novellas, The Prince and the Guard, and I have already read The Prince, so I just need to read The Guard, and I'll probably get to that one very soon since it shouldn't take me very long at all. And the last book that I picked up there was the Rowan of Rin series by Emily Rodda. Now, way back in the day, when I was in primary school, this was one of my absolute favorite series that I read. And I believe that Rowan of Rin was the first book that actually inspired me to write. I just had this sudden urge to write and to write fantasy as well. So this series was definitely very influential to me at a young age with reading and writing, but I saw this, it's the collection of the entire series. I had to have it. I've just been craving this world and wanting to reread it again. This is basically about Rowan and his town of Rin is threatened by a particular danger and he sets off to pretty much save the day. It's a middle grade heroic kind of story. I loved it so much when I was younger and I'm really hoping that I still love it when I read it again. And the last two books that I have to show you for this haul were sent to me by For Pity's Sake Publishing, the publishing house that sent me Above the Fold a few months ago, and they decided to send me a couple more of their books. The first one is Winterflood's Passion by Diana Thompson. I think this is about a woman named Charlotte whose husband died a year ago, and when she sets eyes on Daniel Winterflood, she's just overcome with lust. He's described as a playboy art dealer. Sounds like there's going to be some interesting things happening in this one. And I was also sent Vegetarian Vampires and What We Can Learn From Them by Jennifer MacDonald. I've never read really anything like this, so I'm interested to see what I think of it, but this one is a self-help book based on the 7 spiritual laws of success. And I think this is a series of essays based on these laws of success, so it's quite small as well. It's a really, really tiny book. So I just received a couple more books in the mail. These are a couple of the set texts that I have for my Literature in the Screen course this semester, and these books arrived a lot faster than I thought they would. So the first one that I have is Never Let Me Go by Kazuo Ishiguro. And we will of course also be watching the movie for this one, which I'm really excited about. Heard great things about this one, so I'm gonna probably pick this one up sooner rather than later. And the last book that I have is Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep by Philip K. Dick, and surprisingly we're not studying Blade Runner. But this is basically about a bounty hunter who hunts down runaway androids. I did study Blade Runner back in high school, so I'm really interested to see what I end up thinking of the book for this one. And that is it for my July book haul. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. As always, I would absolutely love to hear what you think about any of the books that I had to show you today, and I guess I'll see you very soon with my July wrap up and August TBR videos, so stay tuned for those. Alright, see you guys later. Bye!